Hey guys, it's Dr. Bickling from Own It Dental. As always, here's my contact information if you need to get a hold of me. And if you guys are enjoying these videos, please do hit that thumbs up button. It's right down below. It only takes you a second, and it'll reflect how much you're enjoying them. Speaking of reflections, today we're going to talk about mirror neurons and the DISC personality types. So let's dig into it. All right, like I said, today we're going to talk about mirror neurons and the DISC personality. Last week we talked about using empathy in order to get patients to trust you. And today we're going to talk about mirror neurons because they're known to be the neural basis for empathy. You know, these mirror neurons, they're neurons in our brains that when they see or they recognize something that they're familiar with, they instantly start giving off neurotransmitters like oxytocin, dopamine, and serotonin. And you know what these are. These are the hormones that make you feel good. They make you feel happy. They make you feel excited. They make you feel comfortable. You know, when I was in college, I remember going to my college orientation. And there were two young ladies there that were both dressed exactly the same way, but they had never met each other. They both had on little overall shorts with a blue t-shirt and a little bandana in their hair, tied up the same way, and little perms with bob cuts down to about the shoulders. Don't judge, it was the 1990s. That was the style back then. But like I said, they didn't know each other, and they dressed exactly the same way, and they showed up, and once they saw each other, they instantly became best friends. And if I remember correctly, I think they were roommates for all 4 years of college, and they were best friends ever since. But they had an instant connection because they felt comfortable with each other, because they saw something that was very familiar to them, and that made them happy, and it made them excited, and it made them feel comfortable, and it made them trust each other. And that's what mirror neurons do. When they see something that they recognize or something that they're comfortable with, it gives off hormones, the oxytocin, the neurotransmitters, oxytocin, dopamine, and serotonin, and it makes them feel good. And that's what we're going to try to do today with our communication style. I'm going to teach you the different personality types and how we can use mirror neurons to get patients to feel more comfortable in front of us. You know, when these neurotransmitters go off in a person's brain, I call it the happiness fireworks. They have happiness fireworks going off in their brain, or comfortable fireworks. You know, in the last video I talked about the book, The Code of Trust by Robin Dreeke. He says in the CIA, shields down before information can go in. And I look for the physical manifestation of the shields going down, and that is the happiness fireworks. And the physical manifestation of that is a relaxation. Sometimes it's a relaxation of the muscles of the face, or a relaxation of the body language. When the patient going from crossed arms and a stern face to a little bit more relaxed and a little bit more smiley personality. So I never talk about dentistry until I see the happiness fireworks go off, or the physical manifestation of that. When I start to see the body language relax, that's when I know the shield's coming down, and then the information can go in. All right, and one of the ways I do this is with my communication style. I don't speak to the patient the way I want to speak to the patient. I speak to the patient the way they want to be spoken to. Again, we're talking about empathy here. I'm not trying to put the patient in my shoes. I'm trying to put myself in the patient's shoes, and that also includes how I communicate with them. Now, one of the things I learned early in my career was the DISC personality types, or communication styles. I'm going to quickly go over these in case you don't know them. Let me grab my pointer here. All right, so we have our D personalities. These are what we call our dominant personalities. These are your leaders or your alphas. They're very direct. That could be another term. They're very direct personalities. They like to be to the point, and they like to be firm, sometimes a little forceful, sometimes strong-willed. You'll recognize these personality types because they're going to look you dead in the eye. They're not going to be shy. They're going to use as few words as possible, and they're going to try to get to the point as quickly as possible. You can imagine how these patients like to be spoken to. They want to be direct. Then we have our I personalities, or our influential personalities. These are your outgoing types, you know, high energy. These are your people, you know, they just like to talk. And it's the energy and the talking that gets them excited. You all have these patients, they come in and they just chit chat, and they're the life of the party. And these are your I personalities, and you can chit chat with these guys forever. Sometimes my staff has to come and get me out of the room when I'm talking with an I personality. Your S personalities are your steady personalities, or sometimes I call them your shy personalities. These are the patients that may not trust you right away until they start to see you time and time again. These are the patients that want to see the same hygienist and the same doctor every single time. They don't like change. Sometimes they're a little bit more subdued. They're a little bit more quiet. They may not make eye contact at first because they might be a little shy. But these are the ones that like stable relationships. And as soon as these patients know that they trust you, they're going to be yours forever. And then there's the C personalities. These are the conscientious personalities or the detail-oriented personalities. And they're gonna self-identify because they're gonna be asking you all the questions. These are the patients that come in and they wanna know every detail about everything. And you just have to sit there and you gotta answer all their questions. So we've all run into these from time to time. So today what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the cast members from the show Friends. Rest in peace to Matthew Perry, who just recently passed away. But I'm going to use the cast members to the show Friends to describe each of the different personality types. So first we have Monica, and she would be our typical D personality. Very competitive, driven. You can tell in her pace of speaking. She's very direct and very to the point. And then there's Chandler, of course, our I personality, the high energy, guy, the real fun one that just likes to talk and have a good time. Rachel there, she's our S personality, a little bit more into steady and stable relationships. And then, of course, Ross, the annoying detail-oriented one who actually laminates his hall pass cards. So those are, our 4 DISC personality traits as it applies to the cast members of the show Friends. So one of the points here is, and I said this earlier, is I don't communicate to patients the way I want to communicate. I communicate to them the way they want to be communicated to. But each of us, you may have recognized as you saw these personality traits, you're probably going to fall into, 1 or 2 of these quadrants, right? You may be a little bit over here, more of an I or an S, or you could be up here, more of an I personality or more of a D personality. But the reality is that we live on a spectrum, and there's a little bit of each of this in all of us. Even if you're a D personality, you can find some I personality in there as well. And there's probably some steady, stable relationships you'd like to have. It might not be much, but a little bit. As well as there's some detail orientation as well. I mean, you're a dentist. There's got to be some detail orientation as well. If you're an I personality, same thing. It's kind of a spectrum. The ideal way to communicate is to be able to easily go from one quadrant to another. Even though this might be your more natural state, if you can flow from one quadrant to another, you're going to be able to communicate to patients, not the way you want to communicate, but the way that they want to be communicated to. So let me show you how I do it and how I come in and I talk to patients and how I recognize what style of communication they like. So how do I recognize a patient's personality type? So I come in as if I'm Chandler. I come into an operatory, high energy, I personality, right? So I walk into the room, hey, how's it going? I'm Dr. Bickling, nice to meet you, right? You can tell by my facial expressions, I'm, happy, high energy. My volume is probably a little louder than it might be, and my pace of speech is a little bit faster. But if the patient's like Monica and she's a D personality, the patient might look at me straight in the eye and go, good. And I'll be like, good, let's get started. Right? Because I recognize that this person's a D personality. And so I come in as a high energy and I see, does that patient come up and meet my energy? If not, if they look me right in the eye and use a 1-word answer, good. I know this is a D personality and they want to get right to the point. So I get to the point. Good, let's sit you back, let's take a look. Sit them up, you need 2 crowns and a filling. We'll get you started on Thursday. How does that sound? Good, great. See you then, bye. I don't make a lot of chit chat with this patient because I understand I want to communicate with them the way they want to be communicated to. If I come into the room as a I personality and I meet another I personality, they're going to raise their energy up to me. Hey, how's it going? How you doing? Did you see a football game last night? Oh, no, it was really good. Can you believe those refs? How was your weekend? Oh, it was great. What did you do? Oh, I went up to the mountains. Tickety talk. For I personalities, it's the energy in the conversation that is the reward to them. That's what makes those happiness fireworks go off in their mind, right? And same thing with the D personality. When they recognize a D personality, believe it or not, they start to like you more. If I come into the room again as an I personality and I meet an S personality, I'd be like, hey, I'm Dr. Bickling, how are you? Good. I can tell if they're not making eye contact and their voice is a little low or they're a little bit shy and maybe their body language is closed down. Then I bring my energy down and I start talking to them. Maybe I put my hand on their shoulder just to let them know that I'm going to take care of them and I'm going to be their doctor. And you can tell by the way I'm speaking now, I change my way of communicating to them. I don't try to change them to be like me. I try to change me to be like them. And like I said, the C personality types, they're the ones that are detail-oriented. They're going to self-identify because they're going to be asking you all the questions. And all you have to do is you have to sit there like you have all the time in the world and you're so interested in the questions that they're asking. And them asking the questions excites you. And, so I was told that when you're dealing with a C personality, you just have to out-C the C. You just have to be more conscientious. And then when they're done asking questions, you say, do you have any other questions for me? And you just keep doing that until they finally run out of questions. It might take you 20 minutes, but that's what makes a C personality happy. That's what makes the happiness fireworks go off in their heads. So for each of them, the D personalities, they just want to get straight to the point. And if you can get straight to the point, that's going to make them happy. That's going to make them like you and trust you. I personalities, they like the energy, they like the communication, they like to have a good time. And that's what makes them happy. The S personalities, they're the ones, they just want to know that you're going to be their dentist and you're going to take care of them and that you care for them. You're going to be a little bit more caring. You're going to be a little bit more slow. Once they trust you, they're your patients forever. And that's what makes them happy. And the C personalities, they just want to know that you can answer all of their questions. Okay, so again, I come in high energy. I see if does the patient match my energy? If not, I shift mine to find out to wherever their energy is, and I communicate to them the way they want to be communicated to. So again, I'm Dr. Pickling. I hope you enjoyed this video. Here's my contact information, and on the next one, we'll get into how do we talk in questions. So I'll see you then, and I hope you enjoyed this, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more content like it, go to ownitdental.com or click the link above and check out my services. I have dozens of hours of training videos and I've negotiated reduced lab fees for all my clients. So if you want to get out of the dental chair and start owning your business, go to ownitdental.com and check out my services, and I'll see you soon.